Recording in progress.
So I wanted to share something that is on my mind and is like a recurring thought. And if there's anything that you've ever thought, like, oh, I want to start sharing more, creating more, and expressing myself more, right? It's that very notion that when you have an idea, like, you should go ahead and just like do it in that moment. Like, don't even necessarily write it down or plan for it later or schedule it or take notes on it, but actually just go and like stop what you're doing at that moment and implement whatever idea you currently have. Because it's come to my, like, I've noted, well, not just noticed, but I've put into practice more this idea that when I get an idea, instead of taking it down as a note or something and then ending up just with an accumulation of notes and what that actually ends up becoming, it's just a pile of to-dos and even just a pile of things that you realize you never did or you didn't get around to. That's all it's doing. It's just creating a pile of clutter. And it's also just creating this almost habit of inaction. So, what you do is that when you have an idea, you go and actually just implement it right then and there. So, what this can look like, for example, is if you have an idea to respond to a message suddenly, you just go and do it right then. Or if you wanted to send something to someone, instead of like making a to do about it, it's like, why can't you just do it right then? It doesn't take long, right? And a lot of times, whatever you happen to be doing in that moment, you can like in most cases, it's like you're not necessarily doing anything that requires like that doesn't require you to kind of like you can't pivot for a second or something. At least in my case, I find at least I'm a manifesting generator in human design. So my own way of being is very much like popcorn style, where I'm like all like I have many ideas all at once. And if I have an idea that kind of lights up for me at any given time, it makes more sense for me to pivot and to go in that direction and kind of just follow that path of joy that lights up rather than trying to force myself to continue in one path uh, or whatnot. So, you know, even now, like there are so many other things that I could be sharing. Like I'm probably sharing like a fraction of ideas that actually come to me. Like I'm an ideas person, so I'm very creative. I'm always getting thoughts and ideas and stories to tell. And instead of like just talking one on one or like in a way, just sharing it privately with people, I really like that, distribution where it's like if I have an idea, it's like I want to share it. I want to share it widely and broadly. And hence this is why I've had this podcast on YouTube, because for me it's just that self-expression. And it's that channel where you allow energy to flow out. So part of it is transmuting, like if you have thoughts, well, how do you actually, like, what exactly are you trying to say here? And even like, you know, I've kind of like over time, sometimes you get so caught up with like education or what you think you should do or learning, like so quote unquote, like knowledge and information and this and this and that. But really, what is at the heart of all of it, at least in my case, it's just that human experience. It's that journey. It's that journey of just living life and your own thoughts and ideas and perceptions and experiences, and even just that, like all of the stories that you experience throughout your lifetime. Like that really to me is the core of what anybody really shares and is the core of anything that, like, when you boil it down to its essence, like all knowledge and experience and education really is just coming boiling down to your human experience and then connecting with other people, or even, for example, you might think like, oh, you have hobbies, you like cars, maybe you like games, maybe you like certain books or reading or movies, or you're into fitness, or, all these surface level things or particular activities. They're all kind of still very surface level because at core, like in essence, but really it's the story and journey that you're boiling down to is that human journey, that human experience. And this is why it's like for me, it's like I love sharing and even noticing these thoughts and like whether you're journaling about it or actually in conversation about it or actually even like creating content about it in a more formal way, a lot of it boils down to the same essence and the same core. And a lot of the stories I'm sharing now, it's like I could have shared at the time it happened like over a decade ago, right? And at the time, even though I was just sharing like here and there, I really could have expanded that so much more, like really gone deep, like really, really deep into much like more like, you know, 100 times more, whatever if you want to quantify it. I don't know, whatever number you want to put to it. But just like with the amount of stuff that I can share, that even now I notice that like even though I am sharing a bit more, there's still so much that is still there that for some reason it's like to access to almost like to actually make that a seamless channel where I from idea to actually execution and like putting it out there and expressing it. It's like making that so seamless that like when I have a story or something that I have an insight about, like I have tons of insight. Okay, I'm like a ton, like I'm super, super creative. So I'm always getting ideas. And whether it's like, so you can imagine the number of notes and just like ideas that I either write out or type out or just come or I'm like drawing out or something, like they're always flowing, but for some reason they don't necessarily get put into execution because they just end up sitting there. And I bet that a lot of people can relate to that where you have a pile up of things that you just never got to, you didn't do. And really what the core issue of this is that there's a certain lag between like the inner world and the outer world. So when something's occurring on the inner world, it's almost like processing that. It's digging out the excavation of that gem, of that golden nugget, so to speak. It's like the treasure within that story, at the heart of anything, the human experience and anything that we do as human beings, and the things that we like to share or talk about with other people. At the core of those stories are really just that innate feeling of sharing and connecting with what your that human experience is. Like that's why I've noticed like a lot of people, they're really creating content on the exact same thing, meaning that it all comes down to the fact they're sharing their own experiences and their perspectives on life. And like, how you notice how there's a lot of everyone wants to move towards light. Everyone wants to improve in some way or make their life as, you know, beautiful, joyful, happy, whatever, content, well lived as possible. Like in any given case, everyone, wants that. It's like a plant growing towards light. Everyone is always seeking out just that improvement in some case, in some way, shape, or form. And that is like the common denominator with everything that is created in a sense. And it all comes down to the core of like your human experience, your human journey. So that is what you're actually documenting. That's what you're sharing. That's why you're almost like, you're not just going through your day. Because even though it's like that, you can say, oh, you're content with your day. At least for me in particular, I've always felt this almost like, if you're into ikigai or just that feeling of your purpose. So there's something more than just like having your basic needs met, or even just like, okay, you have, you take care of your health, you take care of your wealth, you take care of your um, inner self, your spirituality, your mental health, whatever, la la la. But there's also that added purpose of like that connection or that joy or that feeling of your purpose or a higher sense of self and spirituality. So, like that encompassed in Ikigai, where it's like you have this sense of purpose pulling you towards something. And for me, it's always been that pull to documenting, to sharing, to almost like living a story that unfolds and just allowing that to unfold. So this state of like surrender and allowing and receiving and the, it's almost like that in infinity symbol where it's like there's a natural flow. So as you live these experiences, you also exchange it out where you allow it to flow out of you. You allow these stories to flow. You allow yourself to share, to give, to document, to create, to produce, blah, blah, blah. Because it's like in that giving and that receiving, you're in the flow of life. So it's this feeling like, you've got to cut out the noise because a lot of times people will be so judgmental. They're like, oh, why do you always have to take pictures? Why are you always doing this and this? Well, guess what? When I was like like over 10 years ago, there were some trips I took, I like didn't even take any photos. But at the time, like I wasn't really like, like the phone had just really, smartphone was really still quite new. I wasn't really in that zone. I don't know, like I just never really did that. But then over time, like I started just, I started realizing like, what is the point of life? Like this desire to almost share, like I would always be taking like jotting notes like in a journal, or even like I still also had one of those more traditional cameras where you would actually print out photos and have to like take it to be developed. So I was already doing that. I just didn't necessarily do it on my smartphone. I didn't necessarily do it with an idea of sharing it. So it's not even like, sometimes people like to be so judgmental and be like, oh, well, you need to just be in the moment, or well, a lot of people love to think that like just because you're sharing stuff that somehow it's taking away from your life. But to me, it's almost like an integration of life. It's like a giving and receiving. It's a producing. You're producing as you're receiving. So it's this give and take. It's this infinity. If you can imagine the infinity, something that's like an infinite loop, right? It's kind of like giving. It's like an ebb and flow. It's like a you're giving and you're receiving. Like I don't even know how else to put it, essentially. So it's like as I'm living life, I'm allowing these experiences in. And then as I'm experiencing these things, I'm like, I get to process it. I get to have my own thoughts and perceptions about it. I get insights. I get all these gemstones, these nuggets of um, wisdom. And it's almost like an ikigai, like a sense of purpose and just a sense of being interconnected with everything else. That it's like you obviously got to give back in some sense. And for a long time, I kind of held back a lot, and even now, it's like it's almost this like ingrained notion where it's not necessarily something that you do as seamlessly as could happen for whatever reason. It's just conditioning of the human mind, or as you grow up and you go through like the education system, and that creativity and that natural flow almost shuts down a lot of sense, which is why I've always been like, oh, I wish I never went to university, because I've always been very, very creative. I would be like filling out like sketchbook after sketchbook after sketchbook in my teens and everything. I was always like drawing, creating, writing stories, blah, 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 blah. And then like university definitely sidetracked me like just to no end. And like then I, almost felt like emotionally I just didn't feel as aligned anymore and all this stuff. But even now it's like I still get that same pull to like share the same stories, and like that person that you are at core never goes away. Like there's still that innate sense of self that is within you, and that you're always like it's always there. So it's like I'm still the very creative person that I've always been. I'm still the kind of person that loves to produce something, create, and to like I have so many ideas all the time, and like insights and that wisdom and that knowledge. And it's like for me, it's like I love communicating. I love sharing. I love like I'm a very open person, like I'm an open book. Like there's nothing that I won't talk about. There's nothing that I think is private or anything in, like in private, because I'm always willing to like go there and to like discuss it, and to even like like find like where the wisdom in that is. Like for me, like life is the ultimate journey. Like it's the ultimate story. So it's like why wouldn't I document and share what like life as it unfolds? Like to me, that is the ultimate, like the apex, like the tippy top of everything. That is like what everything boils down to at the end of the day. It's living life well, and part of that is, in fact, that natural sharing and documenting, and even just giving through your own experiences. So, next time if you're thinking like, oh, I want to create more, it's like probably that's that same desire that a lot of people have. It's like you're naturally a creator, but somehow these ideas and rules or conditions that society puts on you, it almost suppresses that natural sense of giving and receiving. And that's really what it is. Because even now, it's like I'm literally talking about stories that happened over a decade, and it's still like in my heart, it's still on my mind, it's still in my spirit. I still have it in me to like wanting to share it. And imagine if I just shared at the time that I was going through it, right, as I was living the journey, because that's when it's like the most present, it's the most relevant, it's the most like, it's like in that moment, right? So at that time, it's like, that's, what I was saying at the beginning, where at the moment you get the desire to do something, you just do it. You just listen to that voice that's like, okay, you don't write it down. You don't think, oh, well, I need to do it this way, or I need to save this for later, or who knows, or maybe I just won't do it. I don't know. Like you talk yourself out of it, or you somehow just think something else is taking priority in the moment. It's like, no, if you have these inner ideas, these inner whispers, you just take that idea, you stop what you're doing that is seemingly more important, and you just do the thing that is actually calling you. And even now, like that's actually a practice of mine right now, where it's like if I get an idea, I'm doing it right then and there. At least I'm being more cognizant and like pushing through any like blocks that would divert me otherwise. Because first of all, I'm just sick of having so many notes all over the place. I'm just like sick of having so many like to-dos or even these reminders of inactions that I have yet to do or have not done or probably just won't do, because now it's like just this buildup. And it's like, well, instead of having that, it's like I really value that living very clean, living in the moment, very that seamless transition between inner and outer. So it's like as I get the idea, I'm just putting it out there. I'm seamlessly like flowing as I get the idea. And to me, that also is a natural integration with my manifesting generator tendencies, which is to be very active and to allow myself to just be pulled by the natural pivots of what excites me at any given time, rather than having like a structured, rigid schedule that I'm like, oh, at this time I've already said I'm going to do this. I have to have that flexibility to be like, no, this is where I'm going now. So it's like for me, no schedule is the best schedule. Allow my intuitive ideas to flow and to move as I feel called. And so that I hope what you take away from this is that if you have that desire to create more, to share more, to document more, as I do, and I feel like I'm only even doing a fraction of what I could be doing even now, it's just that going deeper within and uncovering what are all of what if anything is in there that is not allowing that seamless flow between inner and outer. These are the questions that I'm actually asking myself at this very moment too.